Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone's doing well. So welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to continue with my existing CD collection. So I remember I said I might do a heavy metal vinyl episode, but I've decided against that. Instead, we're just continuing with my existing CD collection today. So you'll recall we're still going through J. The last video I talked about Judas Iscariot, and before that Iron Maiden. So continuing with the J's, today we're up to one of my favorite bands of all time, and that's none other than Judas Priest. So if you're watching this channel, or even if you're not a regular viewer, most people will know who Judas Priest are, so I don't need to say too much. No introduction needed, just classic, brilliant heavy metal band, sort of, in my opinion, the quintessential heavy metal band alongside Iron Maiden. So they're my two favorite bands in terms of pure heavy metal, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. I know some people might say, oh, that's a cliche, but cliches come from somewhere because they're popular and they're very good. And what's interesting is between Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, while they're sort of friendly music industry rivals, their sounds are completely different. Like Iron Maiden goes for the more sort of epic, atmospheric style, whereas Judas Priest, I always found, despite doing some epic stuff, they always have a more sort of straightforward, rocky approach, like rock sensibility and rock sound, but still definitely heavy metal. But yeah, I won't go into the history of the band because you can just look that up on Wikipedia. So today I'm going to talk about the Judas Priest albums that I own, and on CD. Although they're one of my favorite bands, I don't actually own all of their albums, and certainly not all on CD. I do have some of their other albums on vinyl, but today we're just talking about CDs. There are gaps in the collection, and there are some classic 80s ones that I'm missing, like Defenders of the Faith and Point of Entry. You know, I need to get those albums. But anyway, let's talk about the ones that I do have. 2 minutes in and I haven't even got started. All right, so the first album I own by Judas Priest, if we go in chronological order, is this iconic album, of course, British Steel, which was released in 1980. The way Scott Ian described this album, I think he did it quite poetically. Scott Ian from Anthrax described this album as the album which dusted off all shards of the blues sound, you know, retained by bands like Black Sabbath, to constitute like a pure lean and mean heavy metal album. So is this the first heavy metal album of all time, like pure heavy metal? That's debatable, but it's possible. Like, of course, the Iron Maiden self-titled came out in the same year. In my opinion, this one sounds a bit more pure heavy metal. That's no disrespect to the Iron Maiden one. Then again, other people will say like the first metal band was Blue Cheer or Deep Purple or Black Sabbath, you know, but like for me, this is probably the first real heavy metal album. The band had released albums in the 70s as well, some of which I own on vinyl. But yeah, this is just a classic album. I don't really need to say too much that hasn't already been said. But you know, it's the band that it's sort of the album which sort of propelled the band to fame, because there's a lot of fantastic hits on this. Like, it opens up with Breaking the Law. I probably never need to hear that song again in my life. I mean, I do enjoy it, but you know, it's just been overkilled so much, and then you see live bands covering it. But of course, it's an iconic classic song. Whenever I hear it being played live or even on CD, I still enjoy it. So I know that might sound strange. I said I never need to hear it, but I still can hear it. But yeah, really good song. Rapid Fire, like great riff in that, like just so bouncy, like that dun 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 dun. Yeah, awesome stuff. Metal Gods, another iconic song. That's just one of those songs like the Ace of Spades, like it just never gets tiresome or old. I really like the melodies in that song, and also the march they do, you know, the sound of the clinking metal, which I discovered on the documentary. They did that with trays of cutlery, you know, that metallic sound of the robots marching. But yeah, Metal Gods, brilliant melody, brilliant chorus. And then Grinder, another fantastic song, great guitar solo in that, very rocking. And of course 6 Feet Under did a cover of that song as well, Grinder, and I just really like it. One you always sing along to, definitely. That's followed by United. Now, a lot of people say that song's slow and boring, but I do like the message behind that song, you know, like the camaraderie and, you know, that idea of union. And it is a catchy song, definitely, so really like it. Living After Midnight, that was a big hit in the US. See, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the rock sensibility of this band. Like, yes, it is heavy metal, and there's brilliant blistering guitar solos in that song, but the chorus has a real rock vibe to me, which I just love. You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, another great track, like just awesome riffing in that song. Great message. It's just got an uplifting feeling. I really like it. And Then, yep, we've got The Rage and The Stealer to close. I like both fantastic songs. Like, I think it was Stealer, the one that sounds a bit like metallic reggae, but like, yeah, just not one bad song on this album, and most of the songs are iconic hits, actually. So, yes, if for some reason you've been living under a rock, definitely check this one out. This is a very bare bones cover. Iconic with the razor blade. And yeah, just plain disc in there. So yeah, this is an absolute heavy metal classic, and with good reason. I just love it. You all know it, you probably love it too. Judas Priest with British Steel. All right. So like I said, I have some gaps in the collection, but we'll just go through them one by one. So up next, the next album in chronological order that I own by this band, if I can get this out, is Screaming for Vengeance. Yes, and you might have heard me say that on Metal Mickey's thread, I said this was the album, I think it's the 8th album by the band, which is, like, it's the 8th album by a band which happened to be my favorite. Like, this is absolutely brilliant. So I would say this is my favorite Judas Priest album at the moment, and has been for a long time. Just look at that cover. I just really like the colors, that eagle, it looks so iconic. I love the coloring and the graphic design on the back, and the music on this album is absolutely brilliant. Like, start kicking off with that iconic instrumental, the Hellion, where you just go, oh yes, I'm gonna enjoy the next few minutes, like this song and the one which follows. Then you just with those screeching guitar melodies, it's absolutely fantastic before it bursts into Electric Eye, which is one of my favorite Judas Priest songs. I really like Rob's vocals in that. Just everything about that song, just the upbeat tempo, it's so good. Followed by Riding on the Wind, which is another fast, upbeat track. Fantastic riffing, great melodies as always. Like Judas Priest, all of the songs, even the filler ones sometimes are really catchy. They've just got this grip on melody and catchiness which reels you in. It's fantastic. Speaking of which, Bloodstone is another fantastic song. Like great riffs and great vocals which accompany that. Take These Chains is a good sing-along chorus kind of song, which is great. Pain and Pleasure, another fantastic track. Screaming for Vengeance, you know, which is fast, blistering heavy metal. I love the guitar solo in that, so good. You've Got Another Thing Coming is another favorite track of mine. Like just the riff in that is just absolutely brilliant, and just another great sing-along rocky metallic track, which is fantastic. Fever has a bit more atmosphere and it's reflective, but it's still just such a fantastic album and so easy to sing along to. And then the album concludes with Devil's Child, which again is like another heavy metal song with that kind of rock sensibility, but brilliant lyrics in that. Just such a fantastic riff, and like Rob's voice in that song is pure rock. I just love it. Incidentally, in that song Devil's Child, the line where he says, "Eat my diamonds," I used to think it was "Eat McDonald's." You're like this when you mishear lyrics, but I thought, oh, that makes sense now. Like, why would he talk about eating McDonald's? But fantastic track. And when I saw the band at Grass Pop in 2015, I was really happy to hear them play Devil's Child, because in some ways it's kind of a deep cut, but absolutely fantastic track. Like, I've just read through all of the titles, not one bad song on here. I just love it. And I also really like the clean production on this sound. Like, everything's just, on this album, everything's just clear, the guitars, and the mix is perfect. Just wonderful. Yep, so again, traditional CD. I do like the use of color on this. It's not just like a boring black colored album. And yeah, plain disc. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. As it stands at the moment, this is my favorite Judas Priest album, but there are many more to come. So Judas Priest with Screaming for Vengeance. Okay, now, like I said, I don't own Point of Entry or Defenders of the Faith, so there are some gaps, but the next one I have in my collection in chronological order is Turbo from 1986. So I know this is the album which has, it's caused so much debate among heavy metal fans. Some people love it, others hate it. I think generally speaking, most metalheads hate this album, or like at least that's my understanding. And the reason is because people thought it had a big commercial sound and it went a bit poppy with the use of guitar synth. So a lot of people have a major problem with it and say it was their sort of travesty of an album. But do you want to know what I think? I don't care what people say, I love this album. So I have no complaints about this whatsoever, apart from the fact that my only small criticism I would have to say about this album is there are a few filler songs, but they are in the minority. Most of the songs are absolutely fantastic. So we'll just get out of the way the songs that I dislike first. Well, not dislike, but the songs I find a bit boring. Like, I find songs like Rock You All Around the World, Hot for Love, and Reckless, they're kind of the filler songs, in my opinion. Even though Rock You All Around the World, it still has a catchy enough chorus, like in that annoyingly catchy way you sing along. And yeah, Hot for Love, like it's all right. Like, none of these songs are bad, and even Reckless has some raunchy guitars, but they're the three songs that I'm not so keen on. They constitute 1/3 of the album, so 2/3 of the album though is absolutely brilliant. So it kicks off with the track Turbo Lover, which it does have that sort of 80s commercial sounding, like that drum machine sound, like, but it's so industrial and it's so 80s and cool. I just love that song. Most people I know love it too. Like, it's so incredibly catchy. The rhythm, you can't help nodding along. It's a good chorus to sing along to. And speaking of which, the other misheard lyric, the song's called Turbo Lover, but when I was younger and I heard the song, I thought he was saying, I'm your terrible lover, you know, because I just misheard the words. But yeah, absolutely fantastic track and a live favorite. Locked In is another favorite, one of my favorite songs on this album. Like, just so metallic and really rocking, awesome riffing. Yeah, just brilliant and powerful, like sing-along pre-chorus and chorus, great guitar solos. Locked In is probably one of the heaviest songs on this album, and I really like it. Private Property, another fantastic track, like just very catchy riff, especially the chorus, very sing-along, and for me it's an iconic track, so I like it. The next track, Parental Guidance, that's a bit poppy in the sense it's kind of like happy, but at the same time it's kind of a rebellious song with a good message in it, you know, about, you know, not being told what to do, not being reprimanded, you know, and it's just, yeah, it's teen angst stuff, but like when you're at that age listening to the music, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so those first four tracks are absolutely brilliant. Turbo Lover, Locked In, Parental Guidance, and Private Property. So like I said, Rock You All Around the World, it's okay, but then it comes to Out in the Cold. I think such an underrated Judas Priest track. Like, it's an epic ballad with a lot of keyboards, but it's just a really poignant song. Yeah, just a powerful, dark power ballad, like really underrated song. So Out in the Cold, it might be one of my favorite Judas Priest tracks of all time, actually. And then we go from the sort of somber stuff to a fun track, which is Wild Nights, Hot and Crazy Days. Awesome pre-chorus and chorus in that. Like, you can't not sing along, even the first time you're listening to that song. It's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so then it closes with two fillery tracks in my opinion, so Hot for Love and Reckless. But like I said, Reckless does have some good raunchy guitar work and lead guitar solos, so that's cool. And incidentally, this version that I have, there are two bonus tracks, one of which is Locked In live, but the other one is All Fired Up, and I actually think that's a really good song. Not to be mistaken with the Pat Benatar song. It's a Judas Priest song, but so good, I think that should have made the album actually, and definitely replaced Rock You All Around the World or Hot for Love or Reckless maybe, but yeah, there you go. So this album gets a bad rap, but I think it's overstated. I think this album has some really awesome songs on it. Yes, in a sense, production-wise, it is a bit more commercial, especially with the drum sound, but I think that's specifically what they were going for, because it was the mid-80s, and I love the use of guitar synthesizers on this album because that's 80s in itself. Yeah, so absolutely no complaints about this. So, like I showed you the booklet, it's got some liner notes and lyrics, and this has a more interesting disc. Yep, so color design of the front cover. Yeah, so I even find the cover of this cool. So yes, this is the one that divides a lot of people. I know it's the popular album to hate, but for me, I don't. I love the majority of it, so there you go. Judas Priest with Turbo. All right, so coming up to the next one I own. Speaking of underrated albums, here's another one for you. This is Judas Priest with Ram It Down, which came out in 1988. This is an album, like when I first listened to it back in the day, I did enjoy it, but it's grown on me more and more. And like a lot of people say, this is the album where the band was sort of going through the motions. It was a bit run-of-the-mill, or maybe they'd been with the same producer for too long. But I disagree. There's some really underrated gems on here, and in my opinion, it just grows and grows on you. And like there are some awesome, bona fide awesome tracks on this. Like it starts off with Ram It Down, which has got that, you know, bellicose scream to begin with. It's fast, it's furious, great guitar solos, awesome metallic fiery riffing in that. So it's brilliant. Then track 2 is entitled Heavy Metal. I know the lyrics in that song are a little bit cheesy, but cheesy doesn't necessarily mean bad, especially in the context of rock and metal, I think. I think sometimes bands can take themselves too seriously, and, you know, when you write cheesy lyrics, it doesn't mean anything bad necessarily. But yeah, Heavy Metal is a good song, great sing-along chorus, and I like the pulsing bass in that song. Again, with that kind of 80s drum beat as well, which is really good. Then we go into track 3, Love Zone. I always hear people complaining about this song, but Love Zone is one of my favorite Judas Priest tracks. Like, just everything about it. The lyrics, the vocals, the music, and like that main riff in the chorus, and you know, the vocals in the chorus, they're so good. Like that chorus of Love Zone, such an easy and fun song to sing along to. Fun song to sing along to. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but I realized that the main riff on that, while I love it, it sounds a bit similar to the Rat song, Slip of the Lip. You know, like, coincidence? I don't know, but I also love that Rat song as well. But yeah, Love Zone is great. Then Come and Get It, another fantastic song, like just driving, pulsing heavy metal, full of energy. It's brilliant. Hard as Iron is not one of my favorites, but again, it's catchy enough to sing along to. And especially the chorus, like, I always say I'm not a big fan of that song, but when it's there playing, I'm singing along for sure. Now we get to Blood Red Skies, which is like a sort of somber, atmospheric, slow track, but so powerful, atmospheric. I really love it. And I like the mechanical drum beats in that song, and Rob's emotive vocals, and again, this like melancholic yet powerful chorus, like Blood Red Skies, that's anthemic, that song. Absolutely love it. Coming into the next track, which is I'm a Rocker. Again, such a catchy chorus in that. Like, again, this song has more of a rock sensibility, but you know, just the chorus is incredibly catchy. And when I've seen some concerts, I've always seen the band perform this song live, and it would be so good to see live because you can sing along to it easily. Then we come to the track Johnny Be Good. Remember in my covers thread, in response to Ron Haggerty, I said that was a runner-up to one of my favorite covers of all time. What I like about this version is it's just a lean and mean metalized version. Again, in the words of Scott Ian, shards of the blues sound have just been completely dusted off that track. I love the scream at the beginning. Everything about it. Like, some people might say it's cheesy. I think that cover kicks ass. Johnny Be Good. Then we come to the next track, Love You to Death, which again, that's not one of my favorites, but I really like the bridge in that song, and again, it's catchy enough. And it finishes with Monster of Rock, which I know a lot of people find a boring song because it's incredibly slowly, but as my brother and I were saying, that's one of those songs where you think it's a boring pointless song, but then it grows on you, especially the chorus, because it's catchy. So subtly, it might actually become a song you like, as it has with me. So yeah, for me, I just love this album. There's no bad songs. Just the ones that don't grab me as much as the others are Hard as Iron and Love You to Death, but they're still decent songs. In fact, very good songs. So of course, musicianship is top notch as always. Cool cover on this one. And again, just this boring minimal cover, like product of its time, the 1980s. But yes, don't listen to the skeptics and the naysayers. A lot of people say that this is a rubbish album. I completely disagree. It's absolutely fantastic. I own it on vinyl too. And yeah, always enjoy when I listen to it. So there you go, Judas Priest with Ram It Down. All right, now, so that concludes my 80s collection of Judas Priest. Like I said, I'm missing some titles, but now we go into 1990 with the super iconic album, which is the favorite among many fans. I'm of course talking about Painkiller. With good reason, it's one of the, it's a fan favorite for Judas Priest, because this album saw a shift in sound a little bit, in the sense that it just became heavier and more intense. I think that was partly due to the addition of Scott Travis, the American drummer on this album. You know, the song Painkiller opens up with that kick-ass drum solo just to showcase, okay, everyone, we've got a new drummer and he's fucking awesome. But this album is metallic and heavy. You know, like I said, Judas Priest has a bit of a rock sensibility. They were going more for pure metal on this album and succeeded in spades. Yeah, so the opening track, Painkiller, that's just a quintessential, iconic heavy metal song. Like, you could say to someone, imagine someone was completely in the dark and said, what's heavy metal? What does it sound like? I want to get an insight into the sound of heavy metal. Play them Painkiller, because, you know, fast aggressive riffing, shrieking vocals, blistering guitar solos, double bass drumming, it's got it all. Awesome track, yeah, and I love Rob's vocals in it. Then we go into Hell Patrol. Incidentally, that's not one of my favorite songs by Judas Priest, but the chorus, it is catchy enough again. So it's not a standout track for me, but it's good. Just bear with me. And then we go into track 3, entitled All Guns Blazing. What a kick-ass heavy metal song. Awesome riffing in that song. And I love the chorus, which is so easy to sing along to. And I love the bit later on in the song where they just let the riffs do the talking without the vocals, you know, that dun, 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 dun. Such a good track. Yeah, awesome. So that song really gets me pumped, all guns blazing. Then we go into Leather Rebel. Again, Leather Rebel is not one of my favorite songs, but yeah, it's definitely a good one. And Metal Meltdown has to be one of my favorites. Like, that's just pure metal, as the name suggests. And I really like the build up at the end. You know, it's getting faster and more aggressive. And just that constant chant of Metal Meltdown, like Metal Meltdown. It's just awesome stuff. So yeah, pure lean and mean heavy metal, referring to the tracks here. Oh, Nightcrawler. Very infectiously catchy track. You know, especially not just the, you know, there's the clean guitars in that. There's the riffing and also Rob's vocals, the melody, it's great. I remember one time I accidentally hit the wrong button on my CD player and I put that song on repeat, and then I realized, I think for the 5th time, I heard that As the Rain Comes Falling Down, and I went, hey, I've heard that today, haven't I? And I realized I'd been playing that song 5 times, yet still I didn't get sick of it. So yeah, Nightcrawler, great catchy chorus, good sing-along track. Yep, Between the Hammer and the Anvil is good. And then A Touch of Evil with the use of synthesizers. That's another sort of iconic heavy metal song. Like really creepy and eerie, and the chorus, especially like just with the vocal melodies and the riffs, it's so damn good. So A Touch of Evil would be one of my favorite songs on this. Then it's followed by Battle Hymn and One Shot at Glory. You know what? People are going to say I'm crazy, but I'm not a huge fan of those tracks. But yeah, they're still good. So you know what's incidental and interesting about this album is most people say this is their best. Of the ones I've shown today, this is the one I probably listen to the least. Not because I dislike it, but I mean, there are just some songs which don't grab me as much, but the killer songs are definitely awesome. So just to recap, my favorite songs on here would be Painkiller, All Guns Blazing, Metal Meltdown, A Touch of Evil. Yeah, probably those 4 songs, but all the other songs are great as well. This also features some bonus tracks, including a live recording of Leather Rebel, but also another fantastic track entitled Living Bad Dreams, which is very somber and depressing, like a power ballad with synths, but it's what my brother and I like to call depressing but good. Like, it's just so melancholy, but just such a brilliantly powerful, emotive heavy metal track. So I know Razor Fist said that was a terrible song, but I respectfully disagree. Like, yeah, Living Bad Dreams, it's depressing but brilliant. So fantastic album. Fucking dog is what set it off. It always barks when people walk by. Anyway, so here's the cover. Liner notes, pictures of the band. Yeah, so everyone probably knows this album, but yeah, if you've never heard it, at least listen to the title track, Painkiller, because it's absolutely awesome. So there you go, Judas Priest with Painkiller. Okay, so that actually concludes my studio albums by Judas Priest, guys, but just showing one more that I bought. This was the one I bought in the very beginning, actually. So this is the Essential Judas Priest. It's like a greatest hits album, double disc. And I'm sort of backtracking here, but people are going to think this is nuts because I've listened to heavy metal since the late 80s. You know, if you include glam metal and stuff. In the 90s, I was more into extreme metal, but at the time in the 90s, Judas Priest was a band that kind of passed me by, really. So I didn't really discover this band until the 2000s, believe it or not. And you know, I'd seen video clips to songs like Touch of Evil and stuff like that, but yeah, just didn't know them too much. And then I saw this in a record store in Sydney, and I thought it was like discounted, and I thought, you know what, I don't know this band, I'm just going to take a punt, check it out. And so I bought this essentially as a blind buy. This is the album that made me a fan of the band. I just thought, wow, 34 tracks of absolute brilliance, just a greatest hits, like so many fantastic songs by Judas Priest. So it's got a lot of the songs from the albums that I've just shown, so I'm not going to mention those, but I'll just mention some others from other albums which I really like. So like, it's got Hellbent for Leather, absolutely classic Judas Priest song. I also really like Diamonds and Rust, that atmospheric track. Victim of Changes, such an awesome track. Like, it's got that kind of bluesy, Sabbathy sound, but such a great song, I love it. Also, Love Bites, Heading Out to the Highway, another fantastic rock sensibility track, it's awesome. Beyond the Realms of Death is another sort of like depressive ballad, but very atmospheric, very good. Whatever. Oh, Delivering the Goods, another awesome rocking biker Judas Priest track, absolutely fantastic. And let's see, oh, Freewheel Burning, as the lyrics say, Fast and Furious. I love the video clips of that song, you know, the racing car video games, and Rob does the really fast, not rapping, but the spoken word part in the middle with melody. Like, that was when he was at the peak of his partying days, but Freewheel Burning, it just gets me going. Love that song. Also, Exciter is good, and the Green Manalishi, which was originally performed by Pete Green's version of Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, Nightcrawler, another fantastic track. Sinner, I just want to sing, you know, the high part, but I won't, I'll spare you of that. And Hot Rockin' from Point of Entry, that's got to be one of my favorite Judas Priest songs of all time. Like, just so catchy, so rocking, so fun. If you don't like that song, Hot Rockin', I don't know what to say about it. You should, it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, 34 tracks on here. And like I said, I just mentioned the tracks that weren't featured on those albums. There's also Revolution and Judas Rising, so they've got some new stuff, but absolutely great. So if for some reason you were like me and you were living under a rock and you wanted to know about Judas Priest and get familiar with them quickly, this would be a very good starting point. Just 34 brilliant tracks from all eras of the band, apart from the Tim Ripper Owens phase. So this is all Rob Halford on vocals. So everyone probably knows this, yeah, but for 2 albums, Rob Halford left and he was replaced by Tim Ripper Owens, yeah, who did a great job, of course, and now he's fronting KK's Priest. But yeah, great stuff. Liner notes and this big booklet. I don't think there's lyrics in this one. But yeah, photos of the band. Very cool. Yep, so this is a great Judas Priest starter kit, and it's what got me into the band. So show you the 2 discs here. Yeah, so 34 tracks of pure metal goodness, you can't go wrong. And I think even if you're a fan who, like Mr. Boulder, I've seen, like, when he owns albums by bands, he might sometimes still buy the greatest hits, and that would be the case with me. I think, like, this is just, even if you're a fan already, this is a convenient one to have because it's a good greatest hits album to throw on at a party. But yeah, brilliant stuff. So that's the essential Judas Priest. Okay guys, so that concludes my Judas Priest CD collection. Like I said, there are some other albums by them which I own on vinyl, but today we're talking about my CD collection, and there are some from the 80s especially that I would like to fill the gap, especially Defenders of the Faith and Point of Entry. I also really like the new album, Invincible Shield. I was very impressed with that. So Judas Priest still making quality music all these years on. And like I said, to me, alongside Iron Maiden, Judas Priest are the quintessential heavy metal band. So anyway, that's it guys. So let me know what you thought about the video. What do you think of Judas Priest as a band? What are your favorite albums? What albums do you dislike? What do you recommend? Of the ones I don't own, let's get some discussion going as always. And once again, thank you very much for watching. So I really appreciate everybody's support of the channel. Subscriptions are slowly going up, which is really good, really pleasing to see. So thank you very much everyone to all of your support. And if you're new, welcome. I'm gonna try and keep doing these like at least 1 video a week. So I'll be back again soon with the next installment. And I've got a lot to talk about, so I'm looking forward to that. So until then, take care and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.